Good afternoon, everybody. Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com, live in Amica Mutual Pavilion here in Providence. The applause you hear outside is for me. I'm here in a crowded space to do my rap video following Purdue's 76-62 win over McNeese State to advance to the Sweet 16. True story. Last night when I was having dinner with John Calipari and Rick Pitino, I said to them, guys, so after the Purdue game, about an hour after the game's over with, I have to do this very important video that a couple of dozen people are really going to be looking forward to. So if you guys could maybe move your game somewhere else, that'd be much appreciated. They must have forgotten. So Arkansas and St. John's are out there playing right now, so I'm back here, which is better than the cold outside, like I did the other day. Anyway, enough fooling around here. Purdue wins 76-62 again over McNeese State. McNeese, however you want to call them, whatever you want to call them. Most schools are sticklers over how you brand them. McNeese and McNeese State seem up for anything in that regard, so I'll alternate between McNeese and McNeese State as I've been doing in my writing. So this was never really a game. The thing was that there was some significant laundering done at the end of this game on the final score. It ended up only being a 14-point margin, but Purdue was up by as many as I think 22, and the game was over by the second media timeout. In effect, I think I even said to the guy who sat next to me that as soon as Camden Heide made that three in the corner right in front of McNeese's bench, that Purdue was going to win this game by 30, and Purdue very easily could have. It just, some things got ugly there at the very end of garbage time. Purdue went scoreless for a stretch in the first half, the final 3 minutes. It didn't matter one bit because this game was in hand the whole time, but I'm just talking about the context of the final margin, which again means nothing. But I'm just trying to make this point that this is a 14-point win that ostensibly was like a 25-point win. And a great example of Purdue just taking care of business. Again, like High Point, a bye-game program with really good teams here, which is much easier to do nowadays. Easy's not the appropriate term, but much more doable now with the portal and whatnot than it was before. So you can get these low-major programs that can get a good group together, get some grown men, get some experience, be older than they normally would be, get some last chancers, second chancers, stuff like that, and put together some really good teams. And that's what you've seen here with these two games against High Point and McNeese. Both pretty one-sided. Purdue wins. I was on a radio show yesterday on Sirius XM, and they asked me about Purdue's bugaboo of playing and losing to double-digit seeds in the NCAA tournament. And I thought we were done with this after Purdue went to the Final Four last year, but apparently we're not. And, Purdue can't help but play who's put right in front of it. And, I don't know of a lot of teams that would have been running to a draw that had High Point and then McNeese or Clemson or McNeese. No one knew that McNeese was going to beat Clemson. That said, Purdue, I think, did get a favorable draw, and to Purdue's credit, they left no doubt, and they, for 2 games anyway, they recaptured their very best of the season. I think as good as Purdue is offensively, I think that this has been the resurgence of Purdue as a defensive and rebounding program, a defense and rebounding team. This is what Purdue was at its very, very best this season. That stretch of basketball they played in January, when only the schedule could beat them, the Ohio State game. I like throwing that in there just for the people it annoys that I keep mentioning that. But Purdue has been impeccable on defense these 2 games. Like best case scenario level defense. And energetic, attentive to detail, connected, all of those buzzwords we've talked about all year long in terms of what Purdue was that made it great defensively for a while, and then what Purdue wasn't when Purdue kind of lapsed late in the season in terms of defense. the factor that really cost them a shot at a Big Ten regular season title. They found it at the right time. They've sustained it over 80 minutes of basketball here, the last 10 of which today didn't matter one bit. And in addition to that, the rebounding effort has been super heroic, if that's a word and if that's not overstatement. If it is overstatement, I don't care, because Trey Kaufman-Wren right now has the one delineator between him and all Purdue's other great front court players in the past is, well, A, he's not that big. We're normally talking about, if not 7-footers, then forces of nature like Travion Williams and Caleb Swanigan. He's becoming that level of physical force, but he's not been the rebounder that any of those guys were, because that's not really been his MO, his style. But he has been absolutely relentless here these first two games in the NCAA tournament on the glass. Sheer physicality, and he is really leading the way for this Purdue team in terms of its overachievement on the glass and just its dominance on the interior. And you can't give him enough credit for being an elite scorer. That really is this team's focal point, insofar as anyone who's not named Braden Smith can be. The two kind of go hand in hand, so you can't really pick one over the other. But he's been their foundation offensively. He has been their absolute tone setter in the rebounding column, and he's doing a hell of a job as a passer. You saw Purdue, to open this game, really play through him, and that was not just as a low post target to score the ball, but to play through him and to weaponize his gravity to play inside out. And you saw him get a couple of short roll assists out to open three-point shooters. Colvin hit one, Fletcher Lawyer hit one, and he's just such a weapon offensively. And he's starting to get to the point where his gravity offensively is almost reaching a similar plane to where the Zach Eady's and the Isaac Haas's were. And he's really become a great passer and just a great player. And he's played some of his best basketball here when it has mattered most. He was averaging 25 points a game in 3 postseason games prior to today. He gets 22 in this game on 7 of 12 shooting, 8 of 10 from the foul line. He's getting calls. He's drawing fouls, unlike, a lot of Big Ten games this season where they just kind of let people hit him with folding chairs, and Purdue didn't get the sort of whistle that would have changed some of the games that went sideways on Purdue. But that's been a pleasant change for Purdue here. But the other part of this, too, is the defense and the rebounding are why Purdue is where they are right now. But I think you can look at this Purdue team top to bottom right now and say this is the deepest, most complete version of Purdue you've seen all season long. It's the same guys, right? But Camden Heide and Miles Colvin are playing their best basketball of the year right now. Jakari Harris is playing some of his best basketball of the year right now. C.J. Cox, even though he's a starter, I can't really call him depth. He's a starter. But he played some of his best basketball in this game. No turnovers, 11 points, played pretty good defensively, made some big plays, made a really big shot to beat a shot clock at a moment when McNeese had played really good defense. They deserved a stop on that play, and C.J. Cox makes a David Jenkins-ish step-back three to beat a shot clock, and just an absolute dispiriting, is that the right word? Deflating sequence there from McNeese, I'm quite certain, because they deserved a stop right there, and that was a moment where they could have gotten a little bit of traction, started to take it one possession at a time, so to speak, claw their way back into this a little bit. They showed some life at times, but again, they never really threatened Purdue. Purdue just kept them at arm's length. A lot of the second half, the game felt closer than it actually was because of probably the desperation exuding from McNeese. When you're sitting courtside, that stuff is you kind of pick it up by osmosis. And Is that the right use of the term osmosis? You sense it, you feel it, because it's emanating off the people in front of you. The game felt closer, than it actually was. You'd think it's like a possession-to-possession game because that's the way it's being played, but then you'd look up and Purdue still up 17 points. And it was just a great top-to-bottom game for Purdue, and kind of more of the same. Purdue's in the Sweet 16, for the sixth time in 8 years, which is a pretty notable run. That's not easy to do. Purdue hasn't lost the second round NCAA tournament game since they lost to Kansas and Omaha, I believe. That was Robbie Hummel's second senior year. That tells you how long ago that was. So when Purdue gets on the cusp of the Sweet 16, they get there. Now it's Gonzaga or it's Houston. I'm guessing it's going to be Houston. As of press time, as of record time, I guess I should say. You're welcome. Thank you. Something happened in the St. John's game. In Arkansas's favor, apparently. Arkansas is going to win this, maybe. Anyway, so, I've long said over many seasons that if Purdue runs into Houston in the NCAA tournament, they're in trouble. But the way Purdue is playing right now, you never know, because they are really guarding people. They're really connected defensively. They've got a lot of energy to them. They've got two great players who are both playing very well right now. They're making threes. They're making free throws. They're doing a decent job. I'm going to say this and then qualify it heavily. They're doing a decent job taking care of the basketball. And I'm saying that after they committed 19 turnovers. But I'm only saying it because most of those turnovers didn't matter one bit. Because, again, there was significant score laundering done in the final minutes of this game that made this game look way closer than it actually was. A 14-point Purdue win that was really a 25 to 30-point win in real life. So those 19 turnovers, this was like the equivalent of like a 12-turnover game probably. But Purdue's, got to keep taking care of the basketball. But if they keep up this defensive energy, this defensive connectedness, this rebounding relentlessness, this rebounding intensity, and continue to make shots, and they keep playing well top to bottom here. As I said before, this is the deepest Purdue's been in practice. Not practice like workouts, not like pregame practices. Like, essentially, this is a deeper team than it's been, even though it's all the same guys. Those guys are clicking at the right time. So there's a lot of stuff trending very well for Purdue at the perfect time. So whoever Purdue gets in Indianapolis, they're going to have their hands full. I think all things are possible for Purdue right now, the way they're playing, provided they can sustain it. Whatever they needed to capture coming into the NCAA tournament, they've captured it, and now it's a matter of keeping it captive, so to speak. I guess that's the proper way to line up those phrases. That sounded really stupid, I know. So, listen, that's what I got from Purdue's 76-62 win over McNeese State. This has been your goldenblack.com rap video to end a interesting week here in Providence, Rhode Island. So thanks everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reading. And thank you for processing our materials. However New England accented those materials may have been. I have a profane story that I kind of want to tell, but I'm not going to tell it because I'm not going to put my Boston accent impression on video because I would never live it down. Thank you to the Purdue Club Hotel for your support. As always, we appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys again later this week from Purdue's pregame press conference day in Indianapolis. I don't know if you've ever been to Indianapolis. It's very nice this time of year. So thanks, everybody.